Hey, welcome back guys. I'm gonna prep 6 different dinners for our family for next week. The reason we like to meal prep in a 1-hour session on a Saturday is because the rest of the week we're gonna eat dinner every night, have a home cooked meal. We're not gonna have a mess and anybody can get the dinner together. Whoever's home can get it ready for the family. It helps us eat healthier. It helps us be less stressed. And I'm going to show you everything I need to do to get my meals ready for next week. So this next week, and if you're a member at Super Healthy Kids, this is the meal plan for February 22nd. We're going to do slow cooked stuffed bell peppers, pork and vegetable deconstructed pot stickers, butternut pasta dish, teriyaki chicken over rice, baked burgers with pepper, and simple minestrone soup. So we're gonna head to the grocery store. I'll be right back and we'll get it all done. Okay, we're back from the grocery store and we're ready to get cooking. I like to go through each meal and just kind of write down the steps I'm gonna do before I start the process. For example, 2 of my meals this week are gonna have brown rice. So I'm gonna cook that first. Because there's 2 meals with brown rice, I'm gonna cook 2 cups of rice. And I'm gonna do it first because that way we can work on all the rest of the steps and prep while the rice is cooking, because this kind of takes the longest amount of time. So I'm gonna measure that in my pressure cooker. If you, and I'm putting 4 cups of water to 2 cups of rice. If you use a pressure cooker, this is only gonna take about 15 to 17 minutes. You can get away with less water, but I like my brown rice really soft, and especially if you're going to save it for another day, it's probably best to have it as wet as possible. So the brown rice has started. With our slow-cooked stuffed bell peppers, I'm going to actually mix all the ingredients for stuffing the bell peppers today. Store it until Monday, Meatless Monday, when we eat it, and then I can put it together. So with the with the bell peppers, we just need some spaghetti sauce, black beans, corn, onion, some seasonings, and then that brown rice, and then we'll sprinkle some cheese over the top of it. So I'm going to get a bowl and mix up the rest of these things. So once the brown rice is ready, I just have to add it and we're done with our slow cooked stuffed bell peppers. Okay, so for the rest of this first meal, all I'm gonna do here is chop my onion pretty finely. Now once my onion is chopped, I'm gonna add a cup of corn. This was frozen corn that I just rinsed through a colander until it defrosted. And then 1 can of black beans. I love this mini colander. It collapses so it fits nicely in a drawer, but I use it all the time, probably every day. So whether you're rinsing berries or beans, even if I'm using black beans that have been frozen, I'll just put it in the colander and rinse it with some warm water until it defrosts. Or if you use it from a can, you want to rinse them because you want to get all that sodium off, but look, it goes nice and flat. So once our rice is done, we'll add it to this mixture and then add the seasoning. Now I'll just give it a quick little mix and we'll put it aside until the rice is done, and our first meal is almost ready. Okay, so meal number 2 is called pork and vegetable deconstructed pot stickers. Now for this, it's a mixture of some ground pork, some cabbage, a green onion, ginger root, sesame oil, and soy sauce, and then put all on top of some lo mein noodles. So I'm actually going to cook all of the meat and veggie part and store that until we eat this. And then the night of the meal, all we're gonna do is cook the noodles and then mix it all together. So I'm gonna first cook the pork. Now while that pork is behind me cooking, I'm just gonna get the rest of this kind of just put together so that I can dump it on the pan right when the pork is done. So the first thing is, it says 2 cups of coleslaw. I love the bagged angel hair coleslaw because it's just like the perfect texture. Sometimes cabbage when it gets shredded is really tough and I don't like it, but this angel hair is just a little thinner and I think it's pretty perfect. I put a little more than 2 cups because cabbage is good for you. And then 4 stalks of green onions. So I'll just chop the ends off of that. And for the green onions, I go to about where it starts getting really green. So I'll use probably half of the stalk. You can keep going. You can use the whole stalk, really, but I just go to about here. So I've got my green onions and then 2 tablespoons of fresh ginger root. Now I don't know how most people do this, but I just peel a little bit of it. You could probably use the peel, but it's kind of thick and woody. So what I would do is I would peel the end off of this, probably just chunk the whole thing off, and then grate it over my veggies. Now the rest of this ginger I'm going to keep in the fridge or freezer. I'm just going to put it in a little airtight container, cut it down enough to fit. I don't want it taking up too much room. I just got some new containers yesterday at Costco and I'm excited because I don't know what happens to my containers. They just disappear. So kids take them places. So I'm just going to put the date on this, and I love this freezer tape. It's just called freezer tape and I found it by the lunch bags and paper products. But I love it because when I'm done with whatever I labeled, it peels right off. It's super easy. It doesn't leave any residue behind. So I'm just going to write ginger root and the date and keep it in my freezer. Okay guys, this is just about ready. The ground pork has been cooked. We're going to add our shredded cabbage or coleslaw, our green onions, our ginger root, some sesame oil, and some soy sauce. And don't forget that this will all be served over some Asian noodles that we are going to wait until we make this dish on Tuesday to include the noodles. And we'll cook those on Tuesday. We'll finish cooking this cabbage until it wilts down a little bit, and then we'll pack it away to be eaten on Tuesday. And that's everything right now that we need for the second dinner this week. Okay, we're moving ahead to dinner number 3. Dinner number 3 is the perfect meal to make ahead. It's a butternut pasta dish, so butternut squash pasta dish. And for this, we can make up the whole entire sauce, keep it in a jar, and then the night we want to eat it, we can just heat it up with the pasta. So I prefer to buy my butternut squash already cut for me. It's about the same price. To me, for $3 to buy it cut versus buying an entire squash and trying to cut it, it's going to be much easier to do this. So we're just going to use pre-cut squash. I'm going to chop some onion and put some garlic in, and we're going to heat it up until all our veggies are really soft and easy to puree. So we'll start with that. So I'm going to put some onion in. I didn't care that it wasn't chopped too small because I'm going to blend it up anyway. 2 pounds of butternut squash, and then 2 cloves of garlic. And for garlic, I just press it against a knife. unless I have a jar of garlic, which I love. So now all of this is gonna go on the stove top until it's nice and soft, about 8 minutes. All right, now after our butternut squash and onions have cooked for about 8 to 10 minutes, they're just a bit soft, I'm gonna put 2 cups of broth in here and then bring it back to a boil and just let it simmer for about 20 minutes, and then it's gonna be the perfect consistency for our pasta sauce. Okay, for meal number 4, it's teriyaki chicken over rice, and this is actually a slow cooker dish. So I'm going to take the seasonings that we want to use on our chicken and put it on now so that when it gets into the crock pot, it'll already have been marinating for a couple of days. And this worked beautifully with our pork 2 weeks ago. My husband still talks about how great that was because we did all the seasonings ahead of time. We let the meat marinate in it for a couple of days, and it was perfect. So I'm gonna put this together. It's teriyaki chicken and rice, and then the rice, as you know, is already cooking. So I've put my meat in this glass container. I'm going to include my onions, and then I'm gonna include this teriyaki sauce that we just whisked up. Some honey, some soy sauce, some garlic, ginger, all that delicious stuff, some vinegar. And then the rice is cooking, so this whole dinner is ready to go. When we get the crock pot out, we'll just have to dump it and cook it. And I will just label this so anybody can take it out of the fridge and cook it for me so I don't have to. Teriyaki chicken. You can even write the day on it. So for this Thursday, and I'll probably put this in the freezer because Thursday's so far away and this chicken hasn't been frozen yet. So I'll keep it in the freezer. We'll get it out the day before and then it'll be ready to go. Our 5th meal is going to be some baked burgers. So rather than cooking them on a skillet, we're gonna bake them in the oven. So I'm just gonna take some of the ground beef and I'm gonna make the patties. I realize you can buy patties already made, but this is cheaper. And then you can add more seasonings if you want. And I'm just gonna keep them in a freezer-safe container with some wax paper between each patty. So once the night comes, Friday, to eat these, we just have to pull them out and bake them. Now I got 5 patties out of my 1 pound of ground beef. I did buy the 93.7, which means it has only 7% fat, which I prefer. Otherwise it's pretty greasy. And I'm gonna label this baked burger. And we only have 1 meal to go. Our last meal is the simple minestrone soup. There's a bunch of veggies in minestrone. That's why we love it. I'm going to chop them all up, get them in a container so that when we make soup on next Saturday, it'll be all ready to go. Okay, so for this minestrone, I'm actually going to put it in 2 prep jars because we are cooking some of the veggies first and then the other half of the veggies next. So in this first jar, I'm just going to put some onion, garlic, carrots, and celery. And in this second jar, I'm just going to put in zucchini and some grape tomatoes. Now these are the tiniest zucchinis I've ever seen. Pretty soon we'll have our own and that will be awesome, but until then we get whatever they have at my grocery store, which is this tiny little thing. And that's really all we have to do to get ready for our minestrone soup. I'm just gonna label these jars with some tape. The other reason I do this is so people don't eat it or use it for other things. And then I don't have to make a last-minute trip to the store because somebody ate my tomatoes. Okay, so now all we have left to do is go from the top go through each dish and put them in some containers, mix it up, whatever we have to do to get them all ready for the night of our meal. So I need that brown rice that we cooked at the very beginning for the stuffed bell peppers. Mixture I made earlier. I'm gonna just pour it all into this container. I'm gonna grab half of my brown rice. I'm gonna put a lid on it and label it, and our stuffed peppers are ready to go. The next one I have are the deconstructed pot stickers. I'm just gonna put all this in a jar so when we go to make the deconstructed pot stickers, we just need to cook the noodles that night. For the third dinner, I'm coming back to my butternut squash I cooked with the broth, and I'm gonna put it all in a blender and blend it up for my sauce. We will label that butternut squash sauce. Then we're gonna put the rest of our rice in a separate container for the teriyaki chicken night. You definitely want to have wide mouth jar lids when you're scooping up meals into a mason jar. It's a lot easier. So we'll label that for teriyaki chicken so that people don't eat it for lunch. The baked burgers are finished. There's nothing to add to that, and so is the minestrone. So we're done with all the dinners. That took under an hour. Super exciting. We can assemble anything we want to in this basket for the meals that we don't want people to eat before the dinner comes. For example, for minestrone night, I'm going to add these elbow noodles to my basket. For the pot sticker night, I have some Asian noodles we're going to put in there. Anything else you don't want your family to eat, put it in a special dinner basket that's off limits, and you'll have it the night of dinner. So that's all we've got for you today. Thanks for watching. If you're a member at Super Healthy Kids, you'll find these recipes for the February 22nd meal plan. If you're not a member yet, I have links in the notes to subscribe, or you can get lots of recipes on our website. We're always putting new ones up almost every day. And thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel too.